Now, so I said I'd chuck together a video of the McLaren's first two stages for this 570s Spiders, like the trial and the Unleashed portion of it, not the contest just yet, because there's like not a whole lot of people in that. But this McLaren 570 on the Ancient Ruins course, this is the exact same course as well that's available in the weekly competition at the moment. I would think like this has attracted a lot of people I've seen, but even the one-star version of a McLaren 570s, like, this is a beast of a car, and yeah, because even the one-star version of it is just really fantastic. At 4 stars, or at 6 stars, sorry, this car is, yeah, it's a 4K rated, just yeeted that guy into the air. But, yeah, just as long as you kind of handle it a small bit on the careful side with this, you shouldn't have much trouble with this time, really, unless there's something drastically you're doing wrong. I go right here with this, but like I said, with this time and this car, even at 1 star, this is just, it's a faster route, but you can see, like, if you take the bottom path, you should be okay with getting this time. Go away, yeah. But yeah, just like a light drifting in this one is pretty okay. Like, the McLaren is really capable, even at the 1 star max, which this is locked to. Like, you can't out kind of tune this event, by the way, so just be careful of that. Like, don't just think that you'll come back and get these tokens after the thing. But yeah, like, that's a 107 time, and the time requirement for this one is, I think it's at 116 or so. So, like, yeah, there's over 10 seconds to spare with that. Now, like I said, like, that pathway is the kind of pathway that I use for the weekly competition, but you can be like way more careful with this one rather than going up and around there. Say, because there's about 10 seconds plus to spare, at the crossroads here, you could just take the left path there and go down through the ship. You know, the lower route, like, it is slightly slower, but realistically, it's only about a fraction of a second slower, whereas the right route is faster. But, you know, it's not really needed, especially for if you're going to be doing this one 25 times to get all the tokens, because, yeah, you do have the risk of, like, going off the edge there and not hitting this one correctly. Like, where if you just go on the bottom route, you will get this time, no bothers. And again, hitting that middle column, stepping up there, like, that is just completely take you out of the game. But yeah, like, definitely not the most difficult at times at all with this one as a requirement in the trial version of it. Just, yeah, it's what is the actual max time for that? 123. Oh yeah, so there's like 15 seconds to spare if you're taking that. You really should be okay with yeah, taking like the slower route on this one. Now, obviously, I'm gonna do a run in each one of these cars, but like for my garage, yeah, I've got these ones really tuned, but a lot of these cars don't change too much throughout their tuning. So like a Ford GT at 1 star or 4 star still can't handle properly. Mine has a way higher top speed, but yeah, I'll just show the paths that I use with these, because there is like kind of the 2 cars that are a bit more kind of like capable in terms of the handling, the J50 and the Grand Sport. Like, both of those you can kind of play around with a small bit more. The Ford GT though, and the other version of the Viper, you really have to be completely conservative with these. So just tapping left as you go, like, don't hold left with this car at all. You will just find that it shaves off speed if you've got a lower tuned version of it, especially. And yeah, just like really light on the actual kind of light on the tricks and high flying stuff with this car. You'll find you'll do so much better off if you just actually keep it low and steady, because it is just one that like has a ridiculously powerful top speed, but just really weak in the other stat areas. Turning especially is not this car's thing. Gonna need a drift here. There's some corners there you can't do anything but drift. You just have to try and regain that speed and just yellow nitro for the end of this. From the point where you land here, just keep in mind that like there is no use of any color of nitro other than the yellow one, just because of the fact that you'll yeah, it's once you have the car at the top speed, that's all you need. And yeah, 107.002. So like yeah, that's a fairly massive margin there of 10 seconds. Admittedly, that's a fully tuned version of that car, but that is, yeah, still with like 10 seconds to spare. That should be well doable with even the 1-star version of this car. But yeah, the Corvette Grand Sport then, like, couldn't be more different to the Ford GT, just in terms of how much handling it gets. At lower tuning, this car is still just around the same speed. Like, it doesn't gain that much lines of difference top speed. What this one gains is crazy amounts of nitro as it builds up. So, like, yeah, if you've got a low tuned version of this car, it probably, like, if you check the top speed that I'm be doing in this, it's not going to be that much slower than my Grand Sport. This is at a good few car hunts though, so you should have this tuned up a fair amount. But like a cool thing with this car as well is like when you're in a nitro state like that, you can just take your hand off the accelerator and just actually leave it in the nitro state. You do need it for the orange, but yeah, just in that your normal yellow nitro state, you don't need the accelerator whatsoever. Just coming out of drifts. It's funny sometimes, like if I'm in multiplayer in this car, sometimes I will just actually leave it to yeah, just nitro state and then just leave the car alone. Like you don't need to press it at all once it's in that yellow state. If you want to just be like cheeky and take your hand off the controller on one side, you'll need to drive. Ew. 106. Yeah, like that's not as big a margin than the Ford GT when it's tuned up, but it's just because of the fact that like the Grand Sport doesn't gain that much top speed. Like it is just one of those ones where like a low tuned version of that will still only be like able to do kind of a time in and around that. Like especially on the long straights of Scotland, this car's like low top speed is kind of limiting. Now, so my Dodge Viper, which is missing some epic import parts, but yeah, is like 4 stars and as tuned as it can go without those epic import parts. It's just one that like I kind of hate this car really, which is a shame considering the fact that the other version of the Viper handles so well, and this one, like if you're working towards this car, do not think it's another version of the Viper ACR that has a car hunt running currently in game. Like this Viper is just, yeah, it does not handle well at all. So it's definitely one that like I don't like it. But it is just one where you have to be incredibly careful. Pretty much the same as go away AI. Same as the Ford GT, really, just like conservative driving all over the place with this one. Get it up to some speed going up here. And yeah, like this is one where you definitely just have to kind of unlearn the Viper ACR, the C-Class one, for this different, yeah, the Dodge Viper. It's odd that like they're so different from each other. But again, just left tapping like ever so slightly all the time here. Hard drift, shockwave to get back up some of that speed. Helicopter, get out of the way. And then just put the car into a yellow nitro then for the rest of the race. Like, just make sure if you are kind of in trouble with like these times, if you've got lower tuned versions of the car, if you have the car at max speed, know the fact that like your nitro state, it doesn't matter which nitro state you're in, it'll always be that same speed exactly. Now, so J50 time then. And yeah, this is like a car that's cool enough. It's just a case of yeah, I have it fairly tuned up, but just missing some of the epic import parts off of it. I didn't gold this one out because, well, it's cool as a low-end kind of Ferrari, but at the same time, it's not like my car of choice for any event, really. And the state I have it in, it's quite cool. This one is sort of like in between the hard-to-handle cars and the Grand Sport. At least it can actually turn quite a bit. So, like, even at a base, like, enough amount of tuning, you should be able to, like, get away with some drifting and tricks and stuff in this guy without actually getting penalized too much like the Ford GT and the Viper do. Definitely one that, like, yeah, has a nice top speed for an A-class car. Like I said, nothing against this car. It's just a case of, I don't know, Ferraris normally are kind of like something kind of explosive and exciting, and this one's just meh, other than the fact that it's got warthog tusks on the front of it. But yeah, this one definitely, like, from any amount of tuning, it can, like, pull out some really, really nice top speeds. As I said, again, not a bad, like, low-end Ferrari. I mean, there's no such thing really as a bad Ferrari. Again, into nitro state and just, hands off the accelerator. Oh, will it make it to the finish line? No, it doesn't have quite enough nitro as the Grand Sport does. 106 time though, absolutely tons of time to play around with over the requirements for this one. Now, and we need a 110 then in the McLaren 570s itself. Like, this is such a cool car, but I'm just missing 2 of the actual epics from this one. Needs 110, and yeah, like, I need 2 epics this race that actually technically gonna give me those. But yeah, like, when this one's finished off, it is a 4K rated car, but it's incredibly, incredibly costly and needs tons and tons of blueprints. And it does have the major downside, in my opinion, of only 3 fuel units for that 1 hour and 6 or so refuel time. But like, it is a really, really nice A-class car with tremendous top speed and handling. Like, oh, yeah. But yeah, like, obviously my version of this is 6 stars and just missing those final 2 epics. Like, but hopefully you get an idea kind of what this car kind of tunes out at if you're considering, like, investing a bit more from this. But yeah, like a flatland cruising speed, non-nitro there, 234, and with like an actual handling and nitro ability that you can actually kind of, yeah, bring it up to that 243 in a nitro state. It's amazing. And yeah, here, like, you can drift and it's going down to the 220 mark. Like, really, really not penalized too much for drifting in this one when it's tuned up nicely. Like, you get an idea from it with the trial version. Even at 1 star, like, it's quite a capable car, but yeah, they're like 243 miles an hour cruising. Like, that is amazing for an A-class car. So definitely one that you should pick up a few blueprints for, in my opinion. 1 or 3, so 7 seconds to the good to get my last 2 epic import parts. But like, yeah, such a cool little car. Again, just the only problem with it is that 3 units of fuel for an hour. And yeah, there's my 1 epic that I needed, and my other one then from the Grand Tour being awesome. Good job, legends. Link to our Discord up in the my channel banner. Yeah, I just, like, the only thing about this car is it's so costly. Even like these epic import parts, you're talking about 500,000 credits each to put in the last ones. And yeah, like, so costly. But there we go, golded. Nice. Like, this one's such a cool car to have actually golded in the garage. Like, it looks crazy without the wheels. But yeah, like, it's such a compact little beast, and then it is, yeah, 4,100 rating. Like, it really is a powerhouse. And like, it's one I would recommend kind of chasing down a few blueprints for, because there's a lot of events where this has been somewhat useful to have. And even as a multiplayer car, like, it's definitely one that you would kind of venture into, or I do anyway, because like, it's got the handling and the nitro. The one thing I'll say about this is, if you're going to invest in this car, not only do you need a tokens to invest in it in those packs to actually get the blueprints for this one, but you also need an absolute metric ton of credits for this. Those final stage 14 upgrades for this are like 1.37 million each. But yeah, just keep in mind that, like, for that last set of imports alone is about 5.5 million credits. But then you get like this absolute beaut of a car as a a reward for it. Again, it's like such a tiny compact car, and it's like, yeah, capable of doing 240 on the track, and like a cruising speed without nitro of 230 miles per hour. Like, that puts it faster than quite a substantial amount of the actual the S-Class cars even. Like, so it is a beastly car. It's just, again, it's costly, but, you know, if you like McLarens, it's definitely not a bad car to have. And it's not like a really clunky A-Class car like the, say, Ferrari, the way that has kind of slight issues with handling and stuff. The 570s doesn't have any handling issues in the slightest. It's got incredibly decent handling, nitro, acceleration. I mean, yeah, it is just the kind of top end A-Class car. Admittedly, though, it's a 6-star car, so if you wanted to get this one like unlocked and tuned up, just keep in mind the fact that this event is giving you 2.5k credit. Just keep in mind the fact that this event's giving you 2.5k or so tokens, and like that's enough basically from this event to get 3 10 packs for it. So yeah, do just keep in mind the fact that like you are going to need to have some token reserves if you want to get this car and come away from the event still with some tokens left over. As for the contest portion of this, that's where you're getting like the majority of the tokens back from this. Like, you will need to have the car probably around the 2-star mark for that contest to get the tokens. I'll do a separate video on that kind of a bit later on in the week when more people actually have the car in the first 2 stages of this done. This is the Unleashed and the trial I just wanted to cover. But if you're still here watching my beautiful golden McLaren, yeah, maybe chuck a sub up here. Check out my indie game reviews where I mess around with indie games on the Nintendo Switch. Funny mistranslated one that I was playing through the last day. Really good fun playing that. And yeah, over there is my other stuff on YouTube. Hopefully you find something you like. And yeah, guys, good luck with this event. Drive safe, and leave a comment down below if you need any help or tips with this event or any other stuff in Asphalt.